There is no group hated more in America.
Look at his teeth. Look at how yellow they are. If I had teeth like that, I'd keep my mouth shut.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. It's so good to have you here. Please subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. Thank you for stopping by once again. Welcome back. So my usual disclaimer, please, this video is strictly for educational purposes. Please do not go searching out anybody that I talk about in this video. Don't send them any form of hate comments, threats, or violence. This channel does not support any of that. So today's video is something interesting. You guys, when I saw this video, I was like, I'm on the wrong side of TikTok. This particular person that made this video, he kind of looked like he's the newscaster for white supremacy TV. Yeah, I said it. Let me just go right ahead and play his video.
This should be obvious by now, but there is no group hated more in America than white people. Now, if you're a white guy in college, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The hostility for white people is everywhere. For example, at Yale University, a psychiatrist told her whole class that she has fantasies of murder white people. And of course, not a single white student spoke up or did anything about it. At Stanford, a student running for student government said white people need to be eradicated, and then she proceeded to win her election. At Rutgers University, a professor said white people are villains who need to be taken out. At Drexel University, a professor said all I want for Christmas is white genocide. And even at my university, a class is being taught called The Problem of Whiteness. So it's pretty amazing when you think about it. White people founded America, they founded these universities, and then these people come in and say all this stuff about white people. And the cherry on top is white people do absolutely nothing. They just sit there and take it. There is no other group in America like that. Every other race has formed groups to stand up for themselves. You can be sure that if a professor at Yale said she has fantasies of murder black people, that BLM would be there in half an hour. But when the same thing is said about white people just sit there and put their heads down. So the question is this: how much longer can white people take this? If people can say this stuff now and receive no repercussion, why stop there? This stuff is getting scary, I'll be honest, and the only way things will get better is if white people start speaking up.
Did you guys hear that? Like, he said the most hated people in America are white people. I'm going to repeat like the key points for emphasis. The most hated people in America are white people. He said white people founded America, white people founded the universities, and then these people come in and say all these negative things about white people, and white people just sit there and take it. And he said that these other groups of people have created groups to stand up for themselves, associations to stand up for themselves, and Black Lives Matter was top on the list, okay? So they called us and we're here to answer. You know what, before I just talk about what I think, let's go right ahead and play some of the stitches. You guys already know the stitches are going to be juicy. Let's roll the clips.
There is no group hated more in America than white people.
Did she just say that? Like, how did I get on this side of TikTok? Is this where young boys with fluffy blonde hair that have never worked a day in their life come to complain about oppression while drinking their pumpkin spice lattes? Because it's not a race thing. It's you.
There is no group hated more in America than white people.
No, it's just white people like you.
More in America than white people.
Let's talk about these instances that you use to try and illustrate that white people are the most hated group in America, apparently. So yes, a psychiatrist at Yale did say this. The school quickly came out and said that her values were antithetical to the values of the school, and her video lecture was privated. Next, I'm sorry, but I gotta call you a snowflake for being offended to this, because this is clearly a joke to me. Like, how can you look at this and genuinely be like, oh, I'm scared? Then Brittany Cooper did say that we want to take these MFers out. That's the course of action, although quickly adding she doesn't believe in a project of violence. So, not directing calling for white genocide again. Professor who posted about wanting white genocide Christmas morning, whatever, was denounced by the university. University said this does not reflect our values. And then the course at University of Chicago where you go, titled The Problem of Whiteness. Not sure why you're like bragging about this, but you saw the course that hadn't even been taught yet. Just the course title. Got offended, doxed the professor on Twitter. Professor got harassed online by your freak followers. And the university ignored her complaints. And you faced zero repercussions for this. So let me ask you. If white people were such a hated group, if it was so normalized to hate white people, you could just say whatever you want about them, why would these universities denounce what these people have said? Why would you face zero repercussions for getting a professor doxxed over being offended at the title of a class? Not even the class content, a title of a class that hadn't even been taught yet. How would you get away with that? Taking a few isolated instances where someone made an off-color joke or said something abrasive and using it as an example to victimize yourself and further your political agenda is sad and pathetic, considering the amount of people who are actually discriminated against and killed for things like their financial status, their housing status, their sexual orientation, or the color of their skin. As a white person, I can say with absolute certainty, there has never been a single time in my life where I have feared for my life or felt discriminated against because of being white. Not a single time. And I'll tell you why, because it doesn't exist. True privilege is being able to ignore the actual discrimination that's happening against other people while claiming discrimination at people saying mean things about you.
But there is no group hated more in America than white people.
You're wrong. It's Nickelback.
Hated more in America than white people.
I think the black comedian Chris Rock said it best. There's not a single white person who'd trade places with him, and he's filthy rich.
There is no group hated more in America than white people.
Oh my God. You don't see me? I mean, you don't. Hell yeah, I see you. You don't see me?
There is no group hated more in America than white people.
I'm not going to speak to that actual fact because we know it's false, right? And there are plenty of other creators that are speaking to that. But if we look at it proportionally, maybe a little right, because like, I mean, obviously most minorities hate white people because we suck, but also white people hate white people. So like, percentage wise, not only do all the minorities hate us, but we also hate us. So like,
Hated more in America than white people.
Cap America, not true. It's not real. We gotta stop with these ignorant talking points. There's no group more hated than white people. What about Nickelback? I feel like
Fantasies of murder of white people. And of course, not a single white student spoke.
That's really interesting because if you just look up that phrase that you posted, you'll see that's from a New York Times article, and if you literally read the subheading, it says the Yale School of Medicine said the tone and content of a lecture were antithetical to the values of the school. And then if you were actually to read that article, you would see that this woman wasn't a teacher and was invited by the school to speak for faculty and staff, so she was not speaking to students. And then if you were to read further, you would see that her lecture was recorded, but since the school felt her speech was inflammatory and kind of used a lot of violent language, they have limited the access to her video, so students can't access it, I'm pretty sure. And then if you were to read even further, you would see that one of the white people that was there at the lecture further tweeted about it, saying that they found the speech counterproductive. So maybe don't lie about your sources. Like, if you're gonna use a source, use it. I don't know.
There is no group hated more in America than white people. Now,
Really? I'm gonna have to disagree, dog, because I've never felt about white people how I feel when that bitch tells me that Mercury is in retrograde. I swear to God, I want to suplex her ass.
there is no group hated more in America than white people. Now,
Hi,
Hi, I'm an academic, and a lot of my scientific research focuses on questions of political psychology and prejudice and hatred. Now, unfortunately, I looked at that account. They seem to be genuine in this sentiment and not a parody. But here's the thing. You can measure hatred. You can ask people who they hate, and you can observe the behavioral outcomes of hatred, prejudice, and violence, and disdain, and lack of caring, and desire to do harm. You can measure those things scientifically, and many people have. And that is why the claim in that video is demonstrably false. We know what social groups are hated the most, and they are not white people. They are groups like the homeless, racial and sexual and religious minorities. The groups who are hated the most are the groups who, within the social hierarchy of society, whatever given society that is, are on the low rungs of it. Whether they are low in that social hierarchy because of social reasons, so like sexual and religious minorities, or economic reasons, so like poor people, we know that those who are low in the social hierarchy, whatever that local social hierarchy is, are the ones who are most hated. And that helps us understand why, in these data about who is hated most, who is doing the most hating? And the answer is conservatives. This is not to say that liberal and left-leaning people don't have hatreds, they do, but it is overwhelmingly shown in the data that conservatives hold more hatred and prejudice towards those groups than do liberals. In fact, as a purely statistical matter, if you wanted to ask someone basically one question that would best predict statistically their hatred of other social groups, you would not ask them the following questions. You would not ask them, are they Republican or Democrat? You would not ask them, are they man or woman? You would not ask them what their IQ is. You would not ask them, are they black or white? You would ask them, is social hierarchy good? There is a mountain of scientific data showing that people who say yes to that question are the people with the strongest and most persistent hatred of other social groups. And the implications of this research is that if you want to reduce hatred towards social groups, the best thing you can do is inculcate people with egalitarian values. The desire to reduce social hierarchy is directly linked with a lack of hatred and prejudice. That is, of course, a difficult worldview to inculcate, often because many people benefit from social hierarchies. That's why they're motivated to defend them. White people benefit from white supremacy, men benefit from patriarchy, etc. That is also why the data show that people who are in those positions, high on the social hierarchy, are more likely to see the social hierarchy as good and worthy of defense. In other words, the defense of the social hierarchy is not principled, it is motivated. So to bring this all back, no, white people are not the subject of the most hatred in society. There is absolutely no scientific data to support that claim. The reverse is in fact true. Historically marginalized groups are the groups that face the most hatred in society, and the scientific data overwhelmingly supports that conclusion. Prejudice is driven by motivation to defend and reinforce social hierarchies, and that is precisely why hatred and prejudice flows down the social hierarchy. And postscript, don't listen to fascists on TikTok.
So this young guy, like, his TikTok page is full of things like that. He looks that exact way in all his videos with the suit and tie. And when I said he was a newscaster of white supremacy TV, I meant it because everything he says screams that, okay? So from the stitches, you guys can see that even the white people don't take him seriously. They're like, really? Since when the white people become so hated and oppressed in America? Everybody wants to be oppressed so bad. Even the oppressor wants to be oppressed so bad. You guys could even see that a lot of people in those stitches even debunked all those things he said. They just have a way of removing what exactly they need to prove their point, and they don't really give you the full story or the full context. So that's why he could so easily have been debunked, as you guys saw in those stitches. The most interesting part for me was where he talked about how other groups or other races have formed groups to defend themselves or to stand up for themselves. And I'm like, white people form groups too. White people form groups too. But the purpose of the groups, the objective was to oppress other people. Triple K and all the others. Like, what are we talking about? White people are the most hated people in America. Yeah, I actually agree. That's because even white people hate other white people. Can we talk about that? The only time you guys even work together is when you guys want to work against other people that are not white. I mean, that's how the whole concept of whiteness was even created in the first place. But don't get me started on all of that. Anyway, you guys, please let me know what you think in the comment section. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.